Okay, so I'm playing some Heads Up No Limit against Scott Matthews, a friend of mine, and he's also going to be videoing this session. And we're going to discuss, we're going to share the videos and talk about each hand. So, um, anyway, I'm going to start off playing pretty straightforward against him. I think when we've been playing recently, I've probably been like playing back at him a little too much and like maybe hero calling him too much. Like he's value town me in a couple big pots where I like hero called over bets and stuff. So I'm gonna try not to do that. Um, I am gonna open every button except during times when he's three betting really aggressively, which he usually doesn't. Well, he's a fairly aggressive three better, but he usually doesn't three bet so much that I have to start folding buttons. Out of position, I'm going to 3-bet pretty merged at first and then just kind of see how he reacts to 3-bets. So we'll just sort of see what he's doing today and try to evaluate from there. Here I flop nothing at all. I'll just check this one kind of to start off with. I expect him to float and double float me pretty wide in general, so I should probably have a fairly strong c-betting range against him, at least most of the time. Checks this river. I think I'm folding if he bets river there. But yeah, he doesn't value cut himself with a 5, so... Just nothing out of the ordinary so far. Just kind of, waiting for a spot to come up. This is a very standard call versus 3-bet, I think. It's his first 3-bet though, and it was pretty big. He checks flop. I'm just going to check back because I'd like to kind of try to get an idea of his 3-betting range today. He could have been trapping the flop. This is quite possible. He could have like 7s or something. I think that's likely. I'm just gonna fold turn now. I think when he checks and then half pots the turn there, he's probably got some middling hand. It's not terrible to float the turn, but I mean the combination of like middling hands and the trapping hands he could occasionally have, I think just makes it a fold on the turn. Here I get 3-bet again. I'm just folding my garbage. Gonna continue versus his 3-bet, close to half the time, I think. But obviously just garbage hands I'm gonna fold. We flatted king 9 off and flopped nothing. Just gonna let him have it. I don't really know how many barrels he's planning to fire on this dry board right now, and I don't want to call down a bunch of barrels with king high there. I flop 2 pair, that's good. Bottom 2 seems good. Just gonna go ahead with the pot c-bet. He just folds. That's pretty standard, probably. I assume he just didn't have anything. I'm gonna flat 8-7 off. It's kind of like the worst offsuit. No, I'll probably flat 7-6 off. It's almost the worst offsuit connector I'll flat. He checks back flop. I'm gonna half pot the turn with middle pair now and like a really mediocre flush draw. I just expect a lot of folds after he checks back flop, so I'm gonna bet smaller to take it down there with my entire range generally. I'm gonna try 3-betting light because I haven't really 3-bet him much so far, and I think he probably puts me in a strong 3-betting range for the moment. Get called, flop nothing. I'm just gonna check. This doesn't look like a great board for me to go after because it doesn't hit all that many hands that I 3-bet. Obviously, I could have a king, but he checks back. I'm going to go ahead and pot the turn because I think that gets a lot of folds. I think that it represents trap checking the flop. And I could also just have ace queen or queens or something and now have picked that up on the turn. Yeah, okay, cool. That's a line that I use as a bluff a lot, is 3-bet, check flop, pot turn, when it checks through. I get 3-bet again. I'm going to flat a little bit wide with ace-7 off here, because I think he's starting to develop a pattern of 3-betting somewhat aggressively here so far. I'm actually going to min-raise the flop with top pair, top kicker, to try to hopefully represent a bluff. He calls. Turn doesn't do a whole lot. I guess like 6-3 got there and ace-3 got there. I think he has a fair number of draws and also just overs and stuff that he might have floated here. If he donk shoves the turn, I'm calling. If he has an overpair, I think it's kind of a cooler. I think he would have often shoved the flop with an overpair instead of flatting the min raise. He just folds it. Okay, that's fine. That's a fine result. We obviously don't want to run into an overpair there, which we can, but given how generally aggressive he 3-bets, I don't think it's too bad there. Queen 8 off is like the worst offsuit queen. I usually flat out of position against 3x. I flop and check fold to pot. Still opening every button right now. He's 3-betting, you know, somewhat aggressively, but not like crazy. And I like having the image of opening every button. I just 3-bet with garbage though. Later we may get into 4-betting dynamic, especially if it gets deep. We'll see. Now this stacked up, I just flat deuces, although I can 3-bet them when stacks are a little bit deeper. But he's only got 70 bigs. He checks back flop, that's a good sign. I check again. So, I will call 1-bet here and probably fold to a turn barrel, because he can value bet thinly with a 7 or 4. Looks like deuces are good though. If he 3-bets here, I'm actually going to flat to trap. At this stack depth, I think that starts to become better. Yeah. And we flop top set, so that's good. He leads or c-bets 2/3 pot. I call. Just gonna let him barrel off with hopefully the worst hand here. Like ace king should be barreling off. King queen. He doesn't have the flush. I'm solid here. I'm just gonna go ahead and shove the turn for protection / value when he checks the turn. I could maybe represent just like the naked ace of spades here. No, he's gonna lay it down. Okay. Looks like he's rebuying. You get queen 5 suited. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet him light again. I've got good momentum right now, and I think that it's like a good time to be 3-betting aggressively because I should win without showdown post-flop a good bit. And he shouldn't have a whole lot of reason to think that I'm 3-betting light right now. So I feel like momentum is kind of in my favor to do this. And he 4-bets for some reason. I'm just going to fold this one. I'll let him have it. He could be bluffing, but like he also likes to 4-bet really merged, I think. And so like if he just doesn't believe me, he can end up calling it off with king queen or something. And I don't really want to 5-bet jam this early. Here we flop middle pair in position, single raise pot. Just gonna c-bet this one for half pot. Kind of get him in with a little bit wider range, or a deuce, a check raise bluff maybe. Call. He probably has a whole lot of draws here. I guess he could have 3-2, but the ace looks like a good card for him to continue bluffing on as well. But he's not going to. He's just gonna check back. Unfortunately, river deuce is kind of bad. He could just have a jack. He checks down. He might have a jack. We'll see. Or he has it's 6-2 off. He had a gutter and rivered bottom pair. So he was. I think that's good and smart of him to stop barreling the ace turn because it looks like a card that he could be bluffing on if he was check raise bluffing. It looks like a good barrel card, and he knows that I know that. So yeah. He 3-bets pot. I'm gonna fold my garbage. Actually, that's more than pot. He likes to 3-bet a little bit bigger than pot, which is interesting. I think it could be potentially better than what I do, which is just pot. He's gonna 3-bet again. This is a standard flat with ace-10 suited. Flop nothing. He's 3-betting real aggressively right now. But he's not continuing to aggressively post-flop, so he checks flop. Checks again on the turn. I might be good here with ace-high. He may have some middling pair. It's hard to say. Now he's going to pot the river. He probably has a middling pair. I'm just going to fold. I think he's thin value betting there a ton. Like, Scott doesn't, in general, doesn't polarize his ranges that much. Like, he's just generally very merged in, I think, most spots, which is hard to play against. You know, it means I can't really hero call too much in general because he's just going to have a thin value bet a lot of the time. But he ends up value cutting himself some. And so I think my strategy is to kind of exploit him value cutting himself and play kind of trappy. Like somewhere between like tag and trappy. He 3-bets again. I'm going to make a standard call with king queen. Flop gutter and 2 overs. His 3-betting frequency is so high right now, but his c-betting, he's not continuing his super high frequency on the flop, though. So I will give him some respect if he bets here, but I probably will float 1 barrel with 2 overs in the gutter. You know, I'll float 1. Turn doesn't do much of anything. If he keeps barreling here, he's probably good. Checks it back. Give me a jack river one time. Nope. So 8 backdoor flush on the river. He's going to check it down. He has an 8 on the river. He just had a gutter on the flop, so that's kind of an unfortunate river for me, but whatever. Here I'm 3-betting threes because we're over 100 big blinds deep again now, and I like to 3-bet small pocket pairs and either take it down pre or like play a big enough pot that I can frequently stack them when I hit a set. Here's going to 3-bet again. A flat jack-8 suited. Flop second pair with 2 aces on board. Again, I think that his c-bet range is like pretty strong here. He's playing a pretty low c-bet frequency to compensate for his high 3-bet percentage. So when he half pots, I suspect he may be going for value or have a flush draw that just got there. So I definitely check back the turn. I think he can have a lot of trapped strong hands in his range here. But he may just be giving up. Yeah, 6-2 suited. He just has nothing. So he won and done the 6-2 suited there. He's definitely 3-betting too much. I'm just going to flat king 10 off. I sometimes 3-bet it, but I think that I'd rather play it a little trappier right now. And I'll call one barrel here because this is a board that he can easily just take a stab at and not really have that much of anything. Another ace on the turn is interesting. He checks back. I river a 10. That's good. So I just bet pot with aces full of 10s and hope that he calls me with pocket 8s or something. He raises the river. I call. We're probably chopping. Nope, he actually has the quads and he checked back turn for deception. That's fine, whatever. I expect you to run into the 10 on the river there much more often than quad aces. Here I'm 3-betting the same value with Jack 10. He's going to fold. He 3-bets again. I'm going to make my first 4-bet actually with 7-2 offsuit because I haven't 4-bet him yet. He jams. That's unfortunate. I guess he had it that time. Either that or he anticipated me making a 4-bet bluff soon. So good play by him, I guess. Three bets again. I'm in a flat ace-6 off. Flop middle pair. He's 3-betting such a high frequency that I'm going with this hand at this point. Like I'm jamming over a c-bet here. If he has a 7, that's unfortunate, but we're on over pair. But he just has so much junk here. This I can represent draws with this too. So okay, or he just has kings. I need ace or 6. Nope. That's kind of an unfortunate spot where it's just like, what are you going to do? I mean, he's 3-betting half of hands. He's not going to show up with an overbet very much, but that's just kind of a cooler at that point, I think. And I like my shove on the flop because I represent a lot of draws. So I could potentially get called down by like ace high. He's folding a couple buttons, so that's likely just a couple bad hands. I think he opens probably like 90% of buttons, something like that, and just folds a few of the bottom ones. I don't really see him like folding buttons a ton to like try to exploit me or anything like that very much though, so I'm not worried about defending too many hands against him. Just gonna fold king high on this turn when he leads out. I mean, lots of things he can have. There's no reason to mess around with king high there, I don't think. Not defending 9-4 off, obviously. 6s on the button. He 3-bets again. I'm gonna call and then shove good flops. That's a very good flop for me. Got overpair plus gutter. He has a set. That's pretty incredible. I need 6 or 5. Okay, I mean, that's a massive cooler, obviously. Okay, good cooler. So now I'm going to have to back off a lot and 3-bet a lot less and c-bet a lot less. Because I'm losing and he's not going to give me credit. Flop top pair here. Probably going to check call and donk the turn if he bets this. Because I don't think it's strong enough to check raise. Like, it runs into too many better kings once he calls. But he checks back, so I'll just lead the turn for value. And he folds. Three-betting my jacks here. I haven't been three-betting a whole lot. I expect a fair bit of credit. Yeah. He's going to flat, and I flop nut flush draw, and he leads pot. I'm just going to raise pot pretty quickly. And he folds. Yeah, I think I represent a king there pretty well. That's like, I think, his first lead, so looks like he led out fairly, at least somewhat weak with his first donk bet on the flop. And he is backing off his 3-bets a bit now, so he's adjusting like he should be. So he just flats again. I'm just going to take a stab at this one. It's ace high. There's a good chance he just doesn't hit it, and or hits a weak hand that he has to fold. Yeah, he just folds. That's good. Top bottom pair gutter on a monotone flop. That's not very good. He goes after a board that's coordinated. I'm going to try check raising him. Just kind of introduce some check raise dynamic. I haven't done it yet, and this is a board that I could have a lot on. I think he goes after this board a little light because he thinks that it's just so scary I'm going to have to give up on it a lot. So yeah, I like my check raise there. Especially given that I haven't check raised yet this match, so. Okay, he comes back with a 3-bet again. I obviously am folding my garbage, but just keep an eye on his 3-betting frequency. It's going to be really important here. Here I flop a gutter to the 9. I expect relatively little fold equity from him right now because he has momentum, so I'm going to bet bigger. Looking for the 9 and he just folds. That's good. Not going to defend 10-6 off. Here I'm 3-betting AK, and I expect a fair bit of credit. Again, because I'm not really 3-betting too often. Yeah. So I need to start 3-bet bluffing him a little more, I think, because he's kind of giving my 3-bet a lot of credit right now. Here he 3-bets again. I'm going to flat, Jack 10 suited, very standard. Flop top pair, that's good. I'm not just going to jam flop anymore because he's not, just going to call, because he's not c-betting such a high, he's not 3-betting such a high frequency anymore. He checks turn. I'm going to check it back. Oh, that's a bad river. He could bluff at that river, but I just checked down. He just had ace-9 suited. Thankfully, the hearts didn't come. So it looks like he is 3-betting more of a reasonable merged range now. Fold his 3-bet with junk again. Here's a good spot to 3-bet bluff because he's been giving me a lot of credit for my 3-bets. So queen 3 suited is an okay hand to 3-bet bluff. Yeah, he folds. So I think he thinks I'm 3-betting very merged right now, and he's like exploitatively folding to my 3-bets. So here I flop middle pair, and I'm going to c-bet half pot. He's going to check raise me. I don't really believe that. I think he has lots of draws. Turn jack shouldn't do a whole lot. I don't think he's really a big fan of check raising top pair that much. So I think he's really just on a lot of draws here. So I'm going to call one more barrel. River brings backdoor diamonds and 8-6 gets there. But I just feel like it's too big a coincidence that he would have check raised the first time I half pot there. I feel like the half pot may have induced a bluff, but then he slightly overbets the river. He usually is strong when he does that. I'm gonna pay it off this time though. Wow, okay, he did in fact have the jack and hit backdoor boat. So yeah, I guess I should have read the sizing on the river as strong. Whatever. I guess I'll sit out and buy more chips. Here I'm flatting 3-bet wide with 8-6 off because he's doing it too much. I just check back and hopefully try to get a showdown though with middle pair. Don't like the turn or river at all. I beat 4-4 though, thankfully. But yeah, I really need to stop calling Scott's overbets. Like, he overbets really unbalanced toward value against me, and I just keep paying it off for some reason. I need to stop doing that. Here I'm going to flat 3-bet kind of wide again with 9-6 suited. But I don't think his c-bet percentage is super high right now. So I'm going to peel 1. That's not a good turn card. keeps barreling. I think I just fold this. Flop middle pair. I'm gonna check call one barrel. Ace turn doesn't help. River, I guess a 3x got there. I think he's thin value betting like a 10 or something here. I'm just going to fold. Again, he's going to be really unbalanced toward marginal thin value a lot in general. He just doesn't polarize that much. Flop middle pair in position on a 3 straight 2 flush board. He donks pot. I'm just going to peel 1. Bad turn card, obviously. He barrels pot. I mean, the last time he let out, he wasn't very strong. But I feel like he could have had a lot of draws here. I'm just going to lay it down. So it's quite possible he has an 8 there, I think. I'm just flatting queen 8 suited, flopping nothing, and giving up, most likely. Just checking this down, I expect to lose to ace high or a marginal pair. Yeah. Flat 3-bet king 5 suited, flop the nut flush draw. I'm gonna half pot flop here when check 2. And he just folds, thankfully. I'm actually just going to 4-bet jam this. I think he's 3-betting too much. And I can just protection shove here with a pretty strong opening hand. And he's going to lay it down. Okay, that's good. I will 3-bet my queen jack suited. Get called. Flop the nuts. Gonna c-bet half pot here. Get called. Turn doesn't do much, but I am gonna trap check the turn. I think barreling here looks too strong when nothing changed on the turn. Now this is a great spot to check shove for value, of course, with the nuts. Get paid by ace 9. Yeah, he's drawing dead on the river. Cool. A little bit of a comeback there. I like my line there. I'm just going to check back middle pair here because it's a 3 straight board. And let him bluff at me. Unfortunately, the flush comes in on the river. He could have a 7 or a 2 or a spade. I'm going to pay it off though because I could occasionally be good with a better 5. Yeah. I knew he was thin value betting, but the question was kind of whether he could be value cutting himself there. But if Scott tends to make one mistake more than any other, I think it's probably that he value cuts himself a bit too much. I'm just going to fold 6-5 off to a 3-bet. Not really good enough to defend, generally, I don't think. Here he flats me with my 5-3 off. I flop nothing at all. I'm not going to go after this board at all. It's fairly coordinated, and I mean, I pick up a gutter on the turn, but it's not really going to be enough to do anything. I guess I can take a stab now that he's checked twice. Represent like a 9 or something. He's going to check call, though. And that's a terrible river to barrel on, so I just give up. He wins with his 7 high. Wow. He just had a gutter. I would have barreled some rivers there, but the one that pairs the board is usually going to be a terrible card to barrel. Ten nine suited is a great hand to 3-bet. I usually do 3-bet it. Like I said, he's giving me a fair bit of credit too, so that's even more reason to 3-bet it. I flop open-ended straight flush draw. I'm going to try to check raise flop here. And it's going to work. He's just going to fold. That's good for me. Don't have to hit to win there. Here I flat king 8 off and flop nothing. I feel like he isn't c-betting super aggressively at this board right now, so I'm probably just going to fold to c-bet, yeah. I'm going to flat 3-bet with king 6 suited, flop nothing. Just check it back. Hopefully king high is good here and he just has some drawing hand. He's going to take a stab at the turn. I'll call one barrel with the king. He could have been trapping the flop here. Or he could just be thin valuing like jacks or tens, which I think is more likely. So I just fold river. We flop nothing with 5-3 suited out of position. Still have nothing. I'm just giving up on this one. So he's folding a couple big blinds now. Maybe he could be backing off his 3-bets a tiny bit. I'm going to 3-bet 9-5 because, again, I think I'm getting pretty good credit on my 3-bets. Even if I don't flop well, I can usually get him to fold post-flop during this phase of the game, I think. We're going to flop top pair, it's c-bet half pot. I'm going to barrel half pot because lots of draws still call. 10 river sucks. I'm going to check it, but hopefully he was just on a flush draw. He could have 7-8, that's possible. I was probably check calling a river bet there to catch his busted flush draws and so on, so I think it's probably good that he checked down with the worst hand. I'm going to flat his 3-bet again with Jack 9 because he's starting to do it too much again. Flop trips is good. I'm going to raise his flop bet here with trips. Try to represent a bluff. It's the first time I've done this. He may not believe me. He's going to 3-bet the flop. I guess I just call and call it off here. Unfortunately, the river completes a flush. The turn completes a flush. He just had open-ended plus flush draw. So yeah, he had open-ended and picked up flush draw. So he did put me on a bluff there when I raised that flop. I think he expects me to slow play my strong hands on a flop like that, and I also hadn't flatted 3-bet and raised flop yet. So I think that was like, he thought I could be bluffing because it was the first time I had done that, I imagine. I think he thought that I was looking for an opportunity to flat 3-bet and raise c-bet on a bluff, so I'm going to remember that he doesn't give me a lot of credit in that spot. Okay, he's adding 731. Here we just fold to 3-bet with garbage. Flop, top pair, no kicker. I'm going to check this back and hopefully let him bluff at it. Now that he's losing, I think he may try a few more bluffs. It's also quite possible he just has a better ace here or 2 pair, but I think he can be bluffing enough that it's worth calling here. Although when he checks, I just half pot it because I expect a ton of folds. I represent like a queen. He just folds, yeah. So he's folded like 3 big blinds in a row now. He's definitely backing off his 3-betting after that big pot that he lost. Then he just flats this time, and I flop deuces full of kings, which I'm going to check back for deception. Hope that he turned a flush or something. He just checks again. I will bet pot on the turn. Get called, that's cool. I'm gonna pot the river also. Yeah, he believes me. Okay. He 3-bets it. I will flat queen 6 suited. That's wide, but again, well, he's been backing up his 3-bets a little, but, and again, he probably has a fairly low c-bet percentage after 3-betting, so that's easier for me to fold to his c-bet on the flop there than it is to fold to the 3-bet pre-flop, I think. Here I'm gonna thin value 3-bet Jack 10 off. And merged, and I get the fold. So maybe I should be polarizing my 3-bets a bit more, because he actually has folded to a majority of my 3-bets this match so far. So I can probably polarize him a bit more. I make a very standard 3-bet here with king-queen suited. I think he may be considering a 4-bet bluff here. He is. I don't believe that timing on that. I'm just going to jam. Ace Jack. Yeah, we're flipping. Cool, I hit the king. Just no ace and we're good. Alright, cool. It just seemed like I'd been 3-betting aggressively, and I guess game flow-wise it felt like a moment when he might be 4-betting on a bluff. But I guess he was 4-betting merged, which is interesting. I think that may be 2 merged. I mean, yeah, he did get it in a little bit ahead, but I can't imagine that I'm getting it in with a lot of hands he dominates, really. Like maybe ace 10 suited or something. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about his 4-bet there with ace jack. Here we flop trips and a single raise pot. I'm going to check back for deception. Probably my line here, if he bets, is call turn raise river, because it won't look like I have a queen. Yeah, now I can look like I'm representing the backdoor flush when unfortunately he didn't barrel river, but I think he calls this rep my hand a lot. He could even check raise bluff this river. Nah, he just folds. So yeah, if there's one thing I need to do less against Scott, it's probably hero call in general, because he tends to be so merged and just doesn't polarize his range that much in general. I'm just folding 5-4 off to 3-bet. That's not going to be strong enough to defend. And he's folding more buttons now, maybe. So he might just be getting a few garbage hands on the button. Might be tightening his button because he's losing. Hard to say, really. But since he thinks, apparently he gives me not a whole lot of credit on my 3-bet at the moment, because he was willing to value 4-bet ace jack and call it off. So going to be backing off my 3-bet a bit more now. Just understands. It's really, I don't know, he seems to adjust a lot the way he plays against 3-bets, so it's hard to tell whether I should be merged or polarized very often. But I think at this moment merged is probably good because he's 4-betting so merged. Here I flop a gutter to the 6. Turn open-ended. Looking for jack or 6 now. I think I get a fair number of folds here because his check-back flop range should be pretty weak. Unless you get the occasional check-back flop raise turn, you know, which he can do, but river is another 4. I'm gonna barrel this. Like, I feel like, yeah, I felt like he just was giving me credit there. And when I barrel a card that, I just put him on a really weak bluff catcher, and when I barrel a card that doesn't look like it makes a lot of sense to be barreling on, without a hand, and I think he can kind of give me credit and exploitatively fold, so that's why I bluffed that spot. Let's see, here I'm going to thin value 3-bet, jack 10 off, stick with my plan of 3-betting merged for the moment. Folding to a 4-bet though, and he just folds to 3-bet. That's good. So he's definitely backing off his both positions right now because he's stuck. Okay, it looks like he's got to quit. So that's the end of the session. He's going to 3-bet. I will flat ace deuce suited. Flop trip aces. That's great. Can have reverse implieds here if he has a better ace, unfortunately, but I can't really fold. Checks turn. I'm just going to check it back and hope he wants to bluff the river. He can be trapping here, and I may be getting stacked by like ace-jack, but once he checks it again, I do have to shove river, I think. Could maybe get hero called by a queen or pocket kings. Or a 9. That's weird. I don't know why he did that. I guess he put me on a busted draw. Which I guess is what I wanted, so cool. I guess I'm happy with how I played that. Anyway, that's the end of the session.